But man is herded like an animal because that's another easy way to control his actions. And it just makes it a whole lot more difficult for the spiritual individual to stand alone, you know, the whole concept of the outsider. And can the outsider even take that type of ostracization and a feeling of alienation? Or can he learn to live with it as a necessary evil? And try to find a center in some way? But symbolism is used a lot. Not only words and trigger words, but certain kinds of symbolism will be used. And I believe that these people, even when they approach priests, you know, maybe if they have some mental problems, what's your options? You know, nobody's going to understand you and your family are around you, so you're bound to have to go to a priest or some sort of psychologist, psychiatrist. And in my mind, you know, that's really could be potentially very dangerous. Because I've got questions about who these people work for, you know, and what kind of allegiances they have, and how many strange deaths have taken place while you're in the custody of these men in white.
Why is Bayer Corporation the rat of the week?
Internal documents show that after this company positively, absolutely knew that they had a medication that was infected with the AIDS virus, they took the product off the market in the U.S. and then they dumped it in France, Europe, Asia, and Latin America. The medicine's called Factorate. It was an injection medicine that was used for hemophiliacs, mostly children. Children had been born with an incurable disease.
Hold on, Mike. So hold on. So you're telling me that Bayer knew that this drug was infected with the AIDS virus. They yanked it from the market in America, and then they dumped it in markets overseas?
They had to figure out a way, Joe, to make a profit on a product that they could not sell in America. So they made a huge profit. They dropped the product in Japan, Spain, and France.
Each year in the U.S., thousands of women learn they have cervical cancer. I could be one less.
One less statistic. One less.
Because now there's Gardasil, the only vaccine that may help protect you from the 4 types of human papillomavirus that may cause 70% of cervical cancer.
I want to be one less woman who will battle cervical cancer. One less.
Like all vaccines, Gardasil may not fully protect everyone. The side effects include pain, swelling, itching and redness at the injection site, fever, nausea, or dizziness.
Gardasil is not for women who are pregnant.
Gardasil does not prevent all types of cervical cancer, so it is important to continue with routine cervical cancer screening.
Gardasil will not treat cervical cancer.
Ask your doctor about getting vaccinated with the only cervical cancer vaccine, Gardasil.
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 Gardasil. With Gardasil, you could be one less.
O-E-L-E-S-S. I want to be one less. One less. O-A-E-L-E-S-S.
Collapsed after being given the cervical cancer vaccine Gardasil. Health authorities are urging parents to stay calm, insisting the drug, which is being offered to students in WA, is safe.
Brooke Levi thought the Gardasil shot she had on Friday at Engadine High was going to protect her. But now she blames the cervical cancer vaccine for a bad reaction.
I want to pass out and just throw up and just go to sleep.
Brooke ended up at Sutherland Hospital. 2 weeks ago, Melbourne student Natasha D'Souza also felt unwell after being vaccinated.
I actually wasn't looking too good and I was looking a bit green in the face. And then I just basically collapsed about 5 minutes into class.
Natasha says her arms and legs were paralysed and she couldn't speak. She wasn't the only girl to have the jab, then fall sick.
Yeah, there were girls dropping like flies, basically.
Medical authorities have declared the reactions aren't linked to Gardasil. They've blamed fear of needles.
The after effects are very, very rarely serious, and the benefits of the vaccination are very, very important.
There's no reason to stop the vaccination program. The vaccines have been thoroughly tested, both in Australia and overseas, and have been found to be extraordinarily safe.
70,000 Gardasil vaccinations have been administered since the drug's approval last year. Full protection against the virus that causes cervical cancer requires follow-up shots, but many girls aren't keen to chance it.
I don't want to after going through this.
Damien Smith, 7 News.
Coming up in 7 News, a warning to diabetics about the deadly side effects of a popular medication.
All of the money from the health industry goes into the medical monopoly and the drug trust. Interestingly enough, the Rockefellers control every major drug company in the world, and now when I say control, I mean directly. They have among the directors and officials of each of the 18 largest oil companies in the world, they have men from Chase Manhattan Bank, from the Exxon oil company, and so forth. So they're right there. The names, I have all their names in my book, Murder by Ejection.
So it's a terrible problem, terrible problem. And if people are not willing to go holistic and really have a holistic background, you could be jumping from the frying pan into the fire when you try to approach so quote-unquote professionals that give you help. Well, you might be going to the most psychotic people that ever lived, the very people who have caused you to be the way you are through their whole media manipulation and their whole infrastructure of society. Like, it goes back to the question of who is sane, what is sanity? Is there anybody sane in this world? The more you start to look at it, the more you start to realize, no, you're not. You're in some sort of hideous Planet of the Apes type experiment here. And man is a terribly, terribly disassociated and fragmented individual.
People come to me all the time asking me to medicate them. The implication behind that was that human beings, like all other animals, have a particular ideal model. It had a machine-like quality to it. We know what the model should be. And they ask the medications, they ask of me to give them medications that would push them back to this particular model they have. An unrealistic model, but a very static model of man as machine.
What was happening was that large parts of normal human experience, grief, disappointment, loneliness, were all being reclassified as medical disorders. In the process, a new system of management was emerging. The drugs took away those complex and difficult feelings and made the individuals happier. But they also made them simpler beings, more easy to predict and manage, and closer to the machine-like creatures at the heart of the economic models.
By using checklists of symptoms about emotions, you have gone out and confused normal human responses to life with mental disorder, and therefore created an illusion of a vast epidemic, a medicalized illusion. And obviously a situation where you medicalize is a situation where your focus will not be on social change, it will be on controlling individuals to fit in properly. That's the subtle and overall danger here, that it could serve our kind of social economic systems needs in a way in which we become more efficient but less human.
I'll never veer away from this whole concept of consciousness, the effects on consciousness. So it's really refreshing for me to read people like Jim Keith, and also even Alex Constantine to a certain degree, where he talked about his book Covert War Against Rock, amongst many others, is fantastic. Because there's all sorts of little sections of this mind control game. There's the cult of Dionysus, which is a very ancient cult that has specifically dealt with the concepts of the Solar King, involving a lot of alchemy, alchemical principles. Again, not as people would mostly understand that kind of study, but as I said, any study that is meant to be the uplift of your soul can also be used to drag you right down into a completely anti-human place. And the alchemical message of the 12 steps of the Sun King, like Hercules went through the 12 signs of the zodiac, the 12 trials, and Horus going through the 12 hours of night and the 12 hours of day. Well, you see, they also throw up people's champions who manifest these archetypes, because mythology is full of archetypes, and these mind manipulators and these people who are very familiar with the truth about mythology are able to manipulate stereotypical people, either people in their own bloodline, who then later put before you as, it's just the person next door, the Durans you see in The Cure, and Jim Morrison and all these people, and you don't know who in fact these people really are. Well, I got questions about a lot of these people in bands through their names, through the symbolism that they use. I mean, people have only got to go and pick up albums of the Lords of the New Church, you see, and certain bands, certain even personalities within the movie business. Oh, we accept you've got geniuses. We accept you've got phenomenal minds on artistic level, the Werner Herzogs, the Alfred Hitchcock, we have no problem accepting that you've got exceptional minds of genius, but we can't understand that you have dark minds of genius in the same boat as well. Hell, man hasn't even got around to understanding that enemies in the world are created in exactly the way that allies are created. If a country approaches another country, or a government approaches another country government and says, we want to be allies, and then they shake hands and they have agreements, you've just created an ally. Well, then what is so unbelievably difficult for people to understand that the same action, similar action, causes political